Welcome.
Okay, now you can start.
All right. Well, welcome to the budget hearing for the 2023-2024 budget that we will be proposing at the Senate Assembly on Sunday. So we look forward to seeing you guys there. So we're going to go over the line item detail budget, but I'm going to keep in mind your high level and that the concepts, because the narrative budget will help you with these numbers a lot easier. So please ask questions as we go.
Could,
So first, go ahead.
excuse me, could you make that just a bit bigger?
Absolutely.
Thank you. For those of us with old eyes.
Is that good?
Much better.
Okay,
Thanks.
perfect. All right, so first we'll talk about where some of our revenues come. Hold on one second. Let me make sure my screen is good. So mission support comes from congregations, comes from individuals. These are donations to the synod in a general fund source. And then program fees, this is Synod Assembly. And then this is just some various bank interest revenue, various accounts. And then other things that we have, a Lutheran Foundation of the Southwest is probably our biggest one. With John Dellis, some of you may have met him before, and set up endowments. We get an endowment from them. The facilities rental is hopefully going to be an archives. And they're going to pay us to rent the space. And then I can't remember exactly what mission support and gifts are, but I think those are just also various support that we are not sure we're going to get from other people. And then last year we received a PPP loan from the federal government. So we won't have that this year. Any questions on our revenue side? People usually like it when we have money coming in. It's usually the expenses that they have questions on. So 50% of our mission support goes directly to the ELCA. And then the rest stays here locally, and we do our mission work with that. Personnel, you can see, is a big chunk. The other big chunk is Lutheran Campus Ministry. And then we also give these ministries another big chunk of the money. So 3 seminary programs, Cross Trails Ministry, TLU, Texas Impact, and Upbring. Any questions on that?
Just so you all know, Texas Impact is an ecumenical advocacy organization that works with us in advocacy in the state capital. And Upbring is also Lutheran Social Services of the Southwest, which does foster care and shelters, amongst other things.
I have a question. I downloaded from the Bulletin of Reports all of the treasurer stuff, but I don't have a page like this at all. Was this something that you just generated on your own, or is this going to be something that we'll see at Senate Assembly?
It's going to be added to the reports, and it's going to be B-7A.
Okay.
Our operating budget, we've gone with a narrative form, which is what I'm showing on the screen right now.
Okay.
But for the budget hearing, I wanted to go in a little bit more detail, so you see what a normal financial statement would look like versus the narrative budget, which kind of explains how we're spending the money in our ministries and how they're working towards our goals.
Okay, because I was going to say the numbers don't add up the same. So I was just curious.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure they add up, but
yeah. I was going to say they should add up to saying they may look a little different.
Yeah.
But we made sure they tied. So,
okay.
But yeah. So when we go over that one, you'll see what we'll see at the assembly. We're only going to be presenting the narrative. If people have question on the line item budget, they can always ask questions.
Okay.
And then this is just normal expenses, operating expenses. Trying to remember if anything changed drastically. Depreciation, you'll see it's 0, and it was we spent 26,000. That's a number that we don't figure out till the end of the year, so we don't budget for it. It's just we've already purchased the items. We're just taking them off of our books. Other than that, we did do some changes to ministry teams, but it was really just moving money around. We budgeted half the cost because we've taken. I think there was one thing that we decided not to spend money on anymore. I think those were. I don't remember the name of those. Was it leadership? Was it the Holy?
Right. Well, we've reduced the costs of the leadership development and the Holy Experiments team because we're doing more on Zoom. And then when we have events and other programming things, and those are actually covered through program fees.
Right. So then also this year we have a Synod Assembly, but next year, and we're gonna go back on virtually. So every other year we're gonna do a virtual Synod Assembly to keep the cost down. I mean, that's one of the main reasons, and convenient so more people can attend. So we're gonna keep a little bit of both, which I think is really financially probably pretty smart. So that's the gist of our line item budget. Do we have any questions? All right. So let's talk about our narrative budget. This is the first time that we have presented this information this way.
Can you make that a bit bigger too?
Yes. To remind me, on my screen, it's huge. So how we did this was we broke up our financial statements into the different areas, like, well, obviously revenue and expense, but the revenue is going to be pretty unchanged, but the expenses and how our different buckets of ministries that we do. And so we have care for and develop leaders, support and resource congregations, support and explore new ministries, and then coordinate synod-wide justice ministries. And then, of course, there's infrastructure. And infrastructure is your normal day-to-day things that the synod would not run without. Sometimes we forget those, but they're also equally important that we continue and to grow this. In the synod, we're working with a company right now to help us tell our story, tell it better, and make sure people know what their money is going for and what the ministries are that we're doing together, and what our resource, that we're being good stewards of our resources. So these are the different ways we care and develop. So Lutheran Campus Ministry, we have personnel dedicated to it. The ministry partners like the seminary, another campus ministries, all those different upbringing. Those are the kind of the ways we do that. Candidacy, Synod Assembly, and leadership team. And then for supporting and resourcing congregation, again, some of that is personnel. The Holy Experiments team, which, as Bishop said, has a little bit less expense because a lot of things are happening virtually, but they're still happening. So things are still coming to fruition. And then Synod Assembly makes up that, and then support and explore new ministries. And I feel like I'm doing a high level, but this is really our staff members who are in there doing these new ministries. We have a couple in Austin. I can't remember. I'm trying to remember all the names. We've had so many new ministries lately that it's really cool. This is
Robbie.
Mhm.
On the ELCA mission support, is that mission support in the Southwest Texas Synod, or is that across ELCA?
So what that represents is a portion of the 50% that goes to churchwide, to the ELCA, comes back to us in the form of supporting and exploring new ministries. So we get ELCA grants, for instance, to support Palabra de Vida and Platicas and the other new ministries that Leslie mentioned. So in each category, there's a portion of our ELCA mission support that we say goes toward helping us with these 4 focus areas. Plus some.
Okay, so for example, the $152,000 on the ELCA mission support line, is that being spent just in our synod, or is that being spent across the ELCA?
It's some combination. It would be, I mean, if we took the total that we send to churchwide, so some of it comes back directly to us in grants, but a lot of it is kind of in support of the wider church, I guess, to answer your question.
I guess I have a hard time understanding that, because we have our revenue up top and you have what you're paying out. So if this is an expense, so you're saying of the 152,000, some of it goes to ELCA and we keep some of it here?
So we send 50% of our 1.3 million to mission support. However, some of the money comes back directly to us to support some of our.
Okay, but that just gives me how much is in the total cup. How much of the 152,000 is being spent in Southwest Texas? Because these should be our expenses, not ELCA's expenses, right?
Well, except that we're spending this much mission support total, right? I mean,
So we broke down our mission support, what we give them. So these line items are probably the 50% numbers split up to how they're also spending that money.
so there's not really a great way, Robbie, to figure out how much is just for us, because this is part of being an interdependent church. I mean, so I'm not sure how we would come to that fine of a detail.
Well, couldn't you have a separate line item that says how much you paid to ELCA and how much you spent internal, or how much you're planning to spend internal? Because you have to have a budgeted amount that tells you, so you know how much you can give to the missions in the Southwest Synod, right?
So yeah, there you
Robbie,
go.
this is the line item budget does have this number. It's 650,000 that goes to mission support. And then the rest of these are all our missions here in the Southwestern Texas Synod.
So the 650,000 goes to ELCA and we keep 52,000 here, or 53,000 for our own missions. Is that what, am I understanding correctly?
We keep 522,000 and 650,000.
Down on the,
Yeah, well, actually, it's more than that. That's only in personnel plus 70 plus. So yeah, 650,000. Basically, we split it.
So we have 650,000 that we send on to churchwide, 650,000 that we keep for ourselves in the budgeted areas.
okay, thank you. Now I understand now. Thank you.
Sorry. Good questions.
Yes, it was a great question. And it is harder in the narrative to understand that piece. I'll give you that. We just want to make sure that people know, and you'll learn more about these different areas, where our goals are and where we're going as a synod at Assembly. So by the time we get to the budget, you'll know more about these than I do right now. So, and I sat through a whole training day the other day on all these. So.
So if I'm understanding that right, then what you're showing on this proposed operating budget that you're showing us right now, all of these where it says ELCA mission support, that's what we're spending in our synod. That's our portion. No?
That's what we're sending on to churchwide as an expense. We're accounting for it in these 5 buckets.
Ah. Okay. So you're breaking down the 650 $86,000 that we send to churchwide. So each line item there, the ELC mission support, is what goes to churchwide, and the rest of it is what we spend here.
Locally, correct.
Okay, now I understand.
Y'all are helping me.
How do you know that E ELCA is going to spend it in that matter?
So they have a where your money goes pie chart breakdown as well.
Okay.
And so we map that from their pie chart onto ours.
They probably have a few more buckets than we do, so it's
Okay.
probably not 100%, but it's pretty close.
Yeah.
And then, so our revised 2022, 2023 budget, we're projecting a $49,000 deficit. And then our proposed 2023, 2024, we're projecting a $30,000 deficit. However, in the past few years, we have not actually had a deficit. So we've been really good at managing expenses. And so, in fact, last year, it said that we had a deficit of 56,000, but really 26,000 of that was depreciation expense, which is a book item only. And we had to remove a piece of property from our books that had the value of $150,000. So that's why we had a deficit, but we got the PPP loan, which everybody knows that was cash and it was forgiven. So we actually had a surplus of 23,000. However, with that additional cash, it was more $120,000 in cash surplus.
Leslie, Michelle has a question in the chat that says, considering more recent higher costs across our national economy, does this budget include an adjusted or estimated accounting to accommodate for anticipated inflation and added costs?
So it does not include for inflation on staff. We did not give the staff a raise this year in this budget for the 2023, 2024. So that's something that could be brought up at the assembly to make changes to, because you're right, inflation has changed. And to your other question, travel expense would be the one item that I could see that inflation might impact. However, we have really become very good with virtual meetings and other tools. There is times to be in the churches, and people are getting back out there and traveling for that. But as far as meetings, we've really tried to pull that back. So no, we have not adjusted for inflation in that regards, I guess.
We are in our building less, so we're using less electricity as well. And although we've kept those costs flat.
You have any follow-up question, or did I answer that for you, Michelle?
No, that's all good. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, any more questions on the narrative? I think the narrative will make more sense as we go through Senate Assembly. You're gonna learn a lot of great things that are happening. And then the other budget that we will approve, and I'm gonna make this bigger, is our mission and ministry fund budget. This is a little different, but this is kind of where we have, and you're gonna have to set me right, Susie, if you need to, but this is some of our interest, income, and dividends, endowment fund, and then what we use this money for is grants. Some of it goes for transformational grants that congregations can apply for, and the other thing goes to campus ministries around the Synod. So we're projecting to give out 30,000 from this fund for the next 2 years. Any questions on this? And Susie, you have any comments that I missed?
I don't, it's based on, I don't know if you want to mention how it's based on a 5-year rolling average of the funds. I think it's 4% of the 5-year.
Right. So we guess
So-
it's always a little bit, we're very conservative in our numbers. So it looks like we were a little off last year on one of them, but it made up for it in the other 2 categories. So
And this is, the campus ministry that we spend here is in addition to what's in the line item budget. So we spend about 100,000 a year funding salaries of our campus pastor, 3 campus pastors, not full salary coverage, but a significant amount.
it's San Antonio, Austin, and Southwest Texas, right? And
San Marcos.
Yeah. Any more questions, comments, concerns?
Nope.
That's all I have. So, budgets are fun to talk about.
Any other general questions about the budget?
You can have a question on another part of the budget if you'd like.
Those were really good questions that you've had, and it really helps, particularly Leslie, as she's standing up there on Synod Assembly Sunday morning, knowing what the kinds of questions might be. So thank you.
And this is Michelle. Could you please remind me, we are budgeting 2 years out, correct? Okay,
Correct.
all right.
It's tough. It was tough for me when I first got in here, and wait, we're going for the next year. So, and our fiscal year is from February and ends in January.
And we will often make a budget adjustment, the year of, just because so many things change, right? And the Synod Council will make those budget adjustments as necessary.
And that's what you see here with the revised version, is adjustments that the Synod Council has made. We like to show it at Assembly.
When we start the budget process is about 2 years, but it's really being 23, 24 is next year's, starting February 1st. So,
Right.
but with things changing so quick, that is hard still.
And if there's any amendments or anything, those will be brought to the actual Assembly. So anybody had any of those, so.
And there's a deadline for doing that, and that's in your standing rules as well. I think it's you have to bring any budget amendments by either noon or 5 o'clock, I think, on Saturday.
Yeah, that's what I was
These
thinking.
have to be submitted.
So. All right, well, thank you guys for joining us this evening. Appreciate it.